I'm going to demonstrate two different ways to retouch the nadir of a panorama on a mobile device, in this case an iPad Pro. First method is retouch, and I'm going to load up this image by Salvo Proieto. So I'll spin it around in a 360 view and I'll take a look at the nadir. I'm going to use the line tool and the segment option to brush away the tripod legs. And a double tap allows me to change the thickness and endpoints if I make a mistake. And this is pretty magical. It works very, very well. And then I'll switch to the object tool and clone out or paint out the other marks from the tripod. Retouch works very, very well with an Apple Pencil. Different weight will give you different thickness. And I'll brush away a little more. And continuing with the object tool, I'm going to paint away some of the dark marks on the tile over near the wall here. Okay, next I'm going to switch to the clone stamp tool. And it works quite a bit differently than you might be used to in Photoshop. The target here is actually the source. And then I have my Apple Pencil on that grout line to the left, and I'm going to paint over closer to the wall if you look to the left. And then I'll grab this vertical grout line as my next source and paint down to continue the grout line. And a little more retouch up in this area here. As I say, it looks odd when you're watching a demo, but when you're doing it in real life, it's quite easy to do and quite intuitive. And a little more clone stamp along this wall area to make this a little more believable. I should also probably do the shadow on the wall, but I just want to demonstrate how this works in general. So that's looking quite believable. And we'll save a copy. I like to leave the original alone. So I highly recommend Retouch, particularly if you're working on mobile. And you can also get a desktop version if you wish. Moving on to the second method, I'm going to patch the nadir with Affinity Photo on an iPad. So we'll open up the same image. So I've loaded up the same image by Salvo Proieto. And I'm going to go to the equi-rectangular projection to be able to work in 3D. This is something you can't do anymore in Photoshop. And I want to get my pitch nailed to 180 degrees minus 180, so I'll type that in manually. Just make sure I'm looking straight down. And then I'll visually spin it around so that the grout lines are reasonably vertical. This will make selection just a little bit easier. So switching to the selection persona, which is how Affinity works, I'm going to make a selection and a polygonal selection and draw straight lines around the tiles that I want to copy, then paste. And I want to feather the selection to soften it a little bit, so 2 pixels perhaps. And back to the photo persona, I'm going to duplicate my selection and then move the duplicate up closer to the wall. It's not an exact match. I should have chosen a little more. So I'm just going to stretch this copy until it fits. Nobody's going to notice the difference, I don't think. When that's completed, I need to go to layers and merge the layers down. And the next thing we'll do is add a Nadir logo. If you were just trying to cover up the tripod, you could have done this directly without cloning the tiles. So I'm going to use the place option and place from photos. And I've grabbed a logo here, which I can just drag to resize and place. And it was created as a PNG file with a little bit of transparency in the background. And finally, we're going to go to layers and merge the layer down. And then we want to go back and clear the projection so we see the full equi-rectangular image. And here you can see the logo at the bottom, which is going to look great in a 360 view. So let's take a look, see how it looks on Facebook. Looks pretty good, I think, for a mobile workflow. My name is Clay Moorhead. The images were by Salvo Proieto. And here are some of my channels that you can check out.